you guys. Welcome to Fantasy Effect episode 104. We got a free agency review. We do have our own free Discord, a Patreon as well. If you guys are interested in that, please DM us on Blue Sky and or Twitter or X, whatever. Please like, comment, and subscribe to this video. Holler and McSpanky. How's it going, guys?
It's going, dude. We're finally getting some warmer weather out here in Utah. It was nice. I can actually be outside my house again. It's freaking awesome. We had some free agent. We had some NFL news, some real news, not just pure rumors. So that was exciting. How you doing, man?
Good stuff. I'm good. I was with the intro. I was just looking at my Malik Neighbors would be dynasty wide receiver 6, and just after that, I pulled up Keep Trade Cut as my first one. I look at a couple other ones, but he's all the way up at 3 on Keep Trade Cut. That's insane. That's just
man.
It's wild to me. But
now you
Brian
need a new intro.
Yeah, I do. That's exactly what I was getting at. But then Brian Thomas Jr. is up at wide receiver 5 on Keep Trade Cut. Man, use that as you will. But some of these things are a little crazy. They're ahead of Puka, ahead of Amon Ra. But I think that's about it. I think that outside of that, I think they're fine there. It's like more like 5 and 6 for Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors is the one above Brian Thomas. But yeah, just craziness how good the wide receivers were last year.
I have Brian Thomas at 10, which I felt like was pretty high.
Yeah, well,
6 feels
this is Keep Trade Cut. Yeah, I mean, I could argue. I feel like I could argue anything, and so like with let me pull up exactly where I have them. I haven't updated mine in a little bit, but I have them at 10 as well. And I could argue anybody that tells me like, no, he's ahead of AJ Brown, he's ahead of Garrett Wilson, he's ahead of Nico, and that would put him up at 7. So I wouldn't argue anybody that that would say that.
I just have a hard time trusting Jacksonville players, especially with
totally.
They got a new coach, and it just seems like it's like the same song and dance in Jacksonville over and over again, right? So I it's not a question of his talent. It's just
the situation. 100%.
Yeah,
I think but I do. Obviously, their owners kind of we've seen the same thing in Dallas. If your owner's crazy, it kind of follows up. But they did hire a good GM, super young, but like coming from the Rams, and he was a really good. Well, I was just about to say he's a really good scout. So he's helped draft the last couple, Rams players that have turned out to be quite good. So I think if he can at least continue to do that, then I think he'll be a solid GM.
Okay. He does. He looks very young.
He does.
Oh yeah, he looks like a little kid.
He looks like they hired someone like underage, like a minor to work as their GM. It's hilarious.
Bring your kid to work day.
But because I follow the Rams, obviously, like he did a great job in like the scouting, and their last, I would say, three drafts class have been solid. They've done a good job there, and I think that's why they've stayed relevant.
No, for sure.
Yeah, definitely got to replenish through the draft. All right, are you guys ready to get into the whole shebang of free agency?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
All right. Just one news thing. Xavier Worthy got arrested, not charged.
Yeah, much ado about nothing. That was fun.
Josh Allen got a massive payday here. $250 million guaranteed, 6 years, $330 million. I don't even know what I would do.
First overall to first overall. Yeah. Dude, seriously, what is he gonna do with all that money? And then his wife is like a famous actress, so
right.
Dude, I don't know. Like their kids, if they have any, are gonna just be set for life.
Yeah. Right.
So it's good for them.
Do anything.
And probably their kids too. After that.
Yeah. Right. Generational wealth. Okay. Jacksonville released Evan Ingram. And he has been re-signed by the Denver Broncos. Yeah. How excited are you guys about this one?
Kind of excited. Sean Payton's offense typically uses their tight ends. I know everyone kind of points to Jimmy Graham, but there's been other ones too that have done well in those off. Like Jawan Johnson had some time. Taysom Hill, that's a kind of a different animal, but that
Jared
role.
Cook.
I think Sean Payton wants Evan Ingram to play is kind of great for what he is. He's kind of like a bigger like slot. He's like an oversized slot. He's not like a true tight end, right? You can't really play him in line. He's kind of a liability in blocking, but I mean, he's a good player. I think this is good for Bo Nix. They needed like a more reliable option outside of Cortland Sutton. I mean, I know Troy Franklin and Marvin Mims have had their moments. Devon Valet is fine in the slot, but I think this gives them an extra, like a more reliable, like secondary option in the passing game. Awesome. I think they still need a running back there in Denver, but I think this offense is shaping up real nice, and they're in a position kind of where they're at in the draft too to maybe draft one in the first, second round. So, but Evan Ingram, like where do you guys have him right now in the tight end landscape?
In the tight.
Let me pull up my handy dandy
notebook.
Yeah, I have him at tight end. Oh shoot, I just had him. I think I have him down at like tight end 12. Yeah, tight end 12. And so like we're in a startup right now, and so I think someone like him, I'd think about getting him.
Well, let me write this down because I picked around you.
Oh. Yeah, no, like 8th or 9th round. I already have a tight end, but I'm just saying in general, like, if
you do,
I have Laporta.
So
like, I have him in my tier 14, so there's quite a bit of players ahead of him, right? He's a little bit older, and but he did a great job, and I think he's actually going to one of a better spots that he could land. Like Bo Nix is there, and outside of Sutton, there's not too much that he'll be probably option number 2 unless they get like Genty or Hampton. Then one of those guys will probably slot in as the top. But like with the landscape of tight ends, I just feel like someone I'd rather have him than someone like Kincaid or Pitts, because I just think he's going to put up better numbers.
Sure.
Obviously, he's older, so he's probably also a little bit cheaper. And then they also have they have Trotman behind him, right? So
don't worry about Trotman.
I'm not worried about.
No, what I'm saying is like him staying on the field is going to happen, right? Evan Ingram, because they don't really need him to block. Trotman can block, and it was I think in my opinion it was kind of the same thing in before he got injured, but in Jacksonville is why they got Strange. Is Brenton Strange is a really good blocker. So I think that was kind of why they got him in the second round a little bit. So it kind of be the same thing here. And I think he kind of, goes up a little bit of the ladder, and he's, to me, the second best option there.
So Wes actually just asked us in the chat, and I was just about to get to this too. So perfect timing. What are you paying for Evan Ingram right now? Because I moved him up into kind of like an early 2, kind of the 202 to 207 range. I have a group of rookies there, and that's where I feel like you're realistically going to have to pay for him. I know the tricky thing is that he's 30 years old, right? So I hate paying kind of early and kind of premium draft capital for a older tight end, especially someone on a new team. There's not really a good history of tight ends switching teams and doing well. So there's definitely some red flags there, but I think the way Sean Payton's offense run, like they kind of handpicked this guy. There's good tight ends in the draft. They could have drafted one, and they decided that this is their guy. So I think there's
still could.
I mean, they still could, but I don't. Not as early, right? I don't think they're going to take like Colston Loveland in the first anymore, which is where it was like a popular landing spot for him. So I feel good with like an early second, maybe like 203, 204, kind of in that range.
Yeah, and I think I would go with that as well. But I don't. If I'm in that range, my team's probably not like ready to compete. So, but if I needed to finagle right and get myself an early second, I would try to do that and then get Ingram, because I think there's more upside there with Ingram than there is taking one of those rookies there. Right now he's down at tight end 24 on Keep Trade Cut, which is just insane to me. They haven't reacted to the news yet of him landing because he's still a free agent here. But that's crazy to me. He's below Brenton Strange, like we just talked about. Like that's just crazy to me. So, but if I,
Brenton Strange sucks. Can we just talk about that for a second?
He's got he's 2 sample size.
He's been there for 2 years. I know. I think some of the things that have been pointed out is that he's a former second round pick. That's great, but like you're entering year 3, your draft capital excuse kind of goes out the window there. I don't care at this point. You haven't done anything. He's had, I think I looked it up the other day. He's had 4 games of over 50 yards in 2 seasons, and like Ingram's missed some time, so it's not like he hasn't had opportunity to do so. And like, okay, Brenton Strange is fine. I think people are overreacting. If you want to pay like an early third for Strange, fine, I'll do it. People are paying like George Pickens, like straight up,
crazy
for Brenton Strange, which I just don't understand. Like, I know it's tight end premium, and like that's fine, but dude, I don't. I
just pulling up his receiving numbers here for last year. I don't, off the top of my head, remember when Evan Ingram went out, but basically he had one game where he had 11 receptions against the Jets, and on those 11 receptions he had 73 yards. Outside of that, he had 1 to 3 receptions per game. He had one good game against Indy where he had 60 yards and 4 receptions. But yeah, I'm 100% with you there. Like, people are overreacting. I think they're gonna get themselves a tight end. For me, I think they picked him up in the second because they had Evan Ingram and they needed a good blocker. Right when I went and was looking up some things on Strange, coming out of college, he was a very poor route runner. He could pick up a little bit of yak, and I think that's where people see it and are like, "Ooh, this guy could be good." But I don't think he's very good running routes, and I think for me, he's more of a blocker than anything.
Well, and I think you're hoping that he's Kate Otten, right? Like,
yeah,
and that doesn't. And like Kate Otten just came off of a career year, right? Like,
exactly, and like
special, like he's fine, but I don't want to like get too excited just because like, oh, he's a starting tight end. But like, for now, he's a starting tight end.
I could see them going with like a Mason Taylor or somebody that may not be as good at blocking, but are good receiver. And then they have that 1-2 punch of him and Strange, whoever that may be in the rookie. But like, for me, I don't know. You got to be, in order to be the like number one without them even going out and getting somebody else, you have to be the whole package of routes, blocking, everything. Yeah. And I just don't see Strange has that.
Same.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think he had some H-back to him coming out of college. Move him into the backfield, play a little fullback too. So Brenton Strange or the 310.
I mean, she's probably Strange at that point.
Yeah, there is some possible upside before we know the draft and everything. Like, if I had to do it today, I'll take Strange just because there's an upside there. But yeah, I'm looking at 2023. He had 3 receptions in 2023. 3 total receptions.
A little more recent.
It's more than you and I.
That is.
I
also don't get paid any money at all by the NFL, though.
Javonte or Brenton Strange?
Javonte Williams?
Oh, Williams for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brenton Strange and the 411 or Christian Kirk?
Christian Kirk.
Okay. Are these trades you pulled up?
Yeah.
Or just okay, I was gonna say.
Yeah, I pulled them from.
See, 100%. People are just over. Like, to me, we're overreacting. And
there's
like
the 204 I saw in here, and there's a few other things.
Insane.
That's insane. 204. That's, dude. I'm taking it. If you give me any second round pick,
I'm smashing the pick.
It.
Yeah.
I don't.
When we get into the third round,
like,
unless there's a guy there that falls, and I love that player, I'm probably gonna take Brenton Strange. Unless I already know that Jacksonville took a tight end, then I'm like,
honestly, like 304 and later, I will take Brenton Strange. But anything before that, I'm probably taking the picks.
Yep,
sure. Gus Edwards got released by the Chargers. Not much to do there. That makes me sad. Anyway, Cooper Kupp got released by the Rams. Where do you guys think Cooper Kupp lands?
I don't know. So he's going to be 32 in June, right? So he's not exactly young anymore. His last 3 seasons, he's played 9 games, 12 games, 12 games. So he hasn't really been on the field all that much either. I will say, though, when he's on the field, he's still been great. It's just I mean, Puka was there the last couple of years to kind of take some of the attention away, and Puka kind of surpassed them a little bit. But I think Cup can still play. I think he still has a year in him as kind of like a secondary, third, I guess tertiary is the word there. Like third kind of role in an offense out of the slot. Like he's still good route runner. Like all those things are still there. I would assume he gets a cheap deal. I wonder. I'm kind of curious if he might be one of those guys that signs like right before camp, or like after the NFL draft, where teams are going to see like, okay, let's see if there's a lot of receivers out there. Like, let's get him on a cheap deal in the summer, bring him in for camp.
Yeah, I could see that. Like, there is a little bit of a connection there with Jacksonville and their new GM, and he could slot in nicely behind Brian Thomas Jr. I think, but yeah, outside of that, there was a little bit of rumors, Dallas. I don't think that'll happen unless they can get him for like $3 million.
Sounds like Dallas said no, but I kind of thought that would be a good spot for Dallas.
Yeah, totally.
For him in Dallas, they don't really,
exactly.
I mean, CD does play a lot in the slot, but I mean, he can move around.
Yeah, so there's not much out there. It's kind of, I kind of agree. I think it's going to take some time. Maybe he signs after the draft, and it doesn't shake out for the right team. They don't get a wide receiver, but yeah, I think he could slot in nicely in a secondary role, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 there. But he had a really good game against the Lions in the beginning of week 1 last year. Had like 10, 11 receptions.
Puka left pretty early in that game.
Yeah. But then I think last year he was, had a lot of lingering issues and injuries. So I don't know how healthy he was. So yeah, I know a lot of people are like, why did they, go from Cup to Devontae Adams, or like, why are they paying money with Devontae Adams? But I just think, to me, I think Devontae Adams is better than Cooper Kupp, how Cooper Kupp is now. So I just think that's why. And, I think Puka and Cooper Kupp kind of they overlap a bit, and Devontae Adams and Puka are different wide receivers. So just kind of a better fit.
Would you guys get excited if he landed in Arizona?
Kind of.
I think that would be nice for Arizona. I mean, to be honest, I'm not too excited like with Cooper Kupp anywhere. Because I think at any point at his age he can pick up an injury. He's just got
like 1 year left, right? Like,
totally.
I can't imagine he's got too much left in him.
So I think you don't feel comfortable putting him in your lineup unless okay, he's got a good matchup. Like, I've already gotten 3 or 4 wide receivers. I'll put him in my flex play. Like, I don't know. I just don't think there's much confidence there. Until we see a couple weeks in a row he's stringing together solid numbers, which I don't know if that'll happen.
I would be more excited if he went to like the Commanders. I think they're kind of an upcoming team that, like, I think he's going to want to go to a contending type of team, and I think maybe Debo and Terry McLaurin might be able to do something.
I liked it until they brought Debo in. Like, I thought it would be really good, but work in the middle of the field.
Debo doesn't play as much in the slot as you might think, though.
That's fair. That's fair. What about Denver? Of course, they just brought in Evan Ingram, and that's probably to work their slot. But
I mean, that could work too. I think
in my opinion, there's a lot of like spots that he could land. Like, I pulled up some news. The Vikings pop up here. The Ravens, Cowboys, like I don't know. There's a lot of spots that he could land. So I think it's gonna just take some time, figure out where somebody will want to pay.
The Bengals could be nice. Of course, they don't really pay anyone, but that would be nice. Went in there, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and Cooper Kupp.
Oh, my Lord.
They could do some damage.
Fireworks every week.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to need it with no defense. So
yeah, that's fair.
He's linked to almost, so like I was just looking at a few things. He's linked to like almost every team. Yeah. This one says Packers. This one says Bears. This one says, he's out. The Patriots are out on him. Then we got Vikings here, Cowboys, Ravens. It's like, holy moly. Like, I think anybody would take him, right? If it's cheap enough. So I think that's kind of where we're at.
What the money is. Yeah.
I can't imagine he's going to get too much money, right? Like, you look at some of these.
Too.
some of these guys are getting like Tutu got like $10 million, and I mean some of these guys I can't imagine him getting probably around that, right? Like kind of like because what did Hopkins get to? Didn't he get like 6 or 7 million? Like I think he's probably in that same ballpark.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, like a Marcus Robinson. I didn't put what he got, but same kind of thing. I think it's anywhere from like 8 to 10 is probably something he'll get. I thought it was pretty crazy that the Rams paid Tutu $10 million. Like I guess I know there's more money to be given out, but to me it just seems like it's Tutu's not going to do much for you. So I mean,
10 million isn't what it used to be either with the salary cap, right? Like it is the cap keeps going up, so like the numbers they look kind of like, oh my god, that's kind of a lot of money, and then you kind of look at it as a percentage of the cap, and you're like, oh, never mind, that's really not like what I thought it was.
100%.
Yeah, and it sounds like that's like 10 million is now like the going rate for a startable wide receiver, pretty much at this point.
If my kid wants to play any football, he's going to be a receiver. He's not going to be a running back. They don't get any money. Goodness gracious.
Kicker, dude. You got like 5 plays a game. You just
don't really get hit.
That's fantastic. Right. No, that's the way to do it for you.
Exactly.
They don't. 1 year, $5 million with the Ravens for Hopkins.
Yeah, I feel like Cooper Kupp's probably going to be somewhere in that 5 to 10 million range, depending on where he goes, right? So,
yeah. We did have some trades happen. The trades were kind of more exciting than the whole
trades.
100%.
Honestly, we had Christian Kirk go to the Texans. How do you guys feel about Christian Kirk at the Texans? I'm excited about that one too.
I love it if they can block for Stroud to throw long enough. They traded away their one good offensive lineman, so Godspeed, CJ. I don't know what's going to happen, but you might be on your back a lot. But I mean, Christian Kirk is great, and he had the collarbone issue, right? So it's not like he's going to have to be like recovering from like a lingering injury going into camp. He should be ready to go. Him and Nico Collins should be pretty great there. I think Tank Dell is going to miss because he just did like his next ACL surgery because his leg was all kinds of messed up. So he's going to be out this whole year. Christian Kirk, he's still a good player. He's been banged up a lot though too, which is a little bit concerning. If while he's on the field, he's always been great. He does have some drop issues, which I don't know if that's I don't remember him doing that so much in Arizona. Maybe he picked that up in Jacksonville. It's like a bad habit down there, but but I do like Christian Kirk. I think he's a good player. Hopefully he can stay on the field. Houston, the offense needs some work though.
Yeah, so no, I think it's a nice, good for him, good for Houston. I move on from Diggs, bring in Kirk. I think it's going to be a nice, and then especially with Tank Dell out this year, I think Kirk's going to outproduce where he's at right now in terms of ranks and what he is the going rate for him. He's pretty cheap. He's down like in the 40s, I think, in the range of wide receivers. So for me, I think that's a nice flex play right there. Because I think if he can stay on the field, he should have a good year.
I have him at one of my 3 right now.
Nice. Yeah, I would pay that for sure. Especially like me being if my team is in a just maybe lost in the playoffs and like I have a 307, I would love to add a Christian Kirk on my team.
Yeah, for
sure. Worth the dart throw.
Yeah. Okay, how excited are you, McSpanky? Geno Smith has been traded to the Las Vegas Raiders.
My initial reaction, I won't say live on the air. However, I have kind of come around to it a little bit. I think Geno is what's the nicest way to put this? A very competent, like middle of the league average quarterback. Kind of in that 15 to 20 range of quarterback play, like real life quarterback play. He's fine. And I think in like a Chip Kelly offense, it's going to have a strong run game. Actually, I don't hate it, right? They need a running back. The offensive line isn't terrible. It's not great. It's kind of middle of the road. He played behind a bad offensive line in Seattle. He's pretty mobile, even as he's getting older. I think, man, I don't know. Like I'd be willing to pay probably like an early 2 for him, right? Like he's starting quarterback. It sounds like the Raiders are trying to get him a deal, like a couple years. I think he'll be fine, right? Like I don't think he's going to be like anything astronomical, but I don't think he's going to be like bad either. So
yeah. I think it's fine. I think it, solid, better in my opinion, better than. I mean, I know there's probably more upside if you were to go with one of the rookies, but I think you know what you're going to get with Geno. He's not great by any means, but he gets the job done. He gets Brock Bowers, so that's always nice. I think if my team really needed like that third QB for me to feel like my team was great, or I have a QB2 that I'm just not certain on, I feel like I could pay a early to mid second for him. And I think what you're going to get that 18 to 24 points possibly. So yeah, I mean, and I like the landing spot. He knows Pete Carroll. Chip Kelly is a very good offensive coordinator. They've been, there've been some mocks for Genty going there, which would be cool. So I'm kind of thinking they're going to go with the offensive route, either if that is Tet or if that's, Genty. I think Genty would obviously be the better option, but I think it's a good spot.
Yeah, I could see him going like defense in this pick six, then probably taking like a Travion Henderson or like a Quinshon Judkins. And I know it's kind of the obvious choice to make there with the Ohio State connection with Chip Kelly, but I think it's realistic on the early second picking a running back there. So they have a lot of holes on defense. So
I was going to say you're going to get yourself a nice defensive player next to Crosby. So I think that's a good idea as well. I mean, and the main hole they need on offense is running back. They've got Brock Bowers, they've got Jacoby Myers, and so I think they have some okay guys there, right? So
also I've seen I forget, I should have written it down, but Geno Smith has like a crazy like passer rating in playing in a dome. It's like so much better than anywhere else he's ever played.
Of course,
exciting.
Yeah, every time he came to Ford Field, absolutely lit it up. So for what it's worth, but our
Love
secondary.
So. I was gonna say that wasn't necessarily unique to Geno though.
Never changes, but hey. Anyway, in other Seattle news, the Seahawks send DK Metcalf to the Steelers.
Yeah, what the hell?
I can't hate this anymore for DK Metcalf. We don't know who's playing quarterback. And if it's Aaron Rodgers, honestly, I don't care. Like, I think DK may have died.
Died, but like, there's a concern because the offense. I mean, it's an Arthur Smith offense, right? So it's not exactly like anything to get super stoked about. It's going to be run heavy because it's still Pittsburgh. That's how they play. That's how they've always played. It's how they probably always will, right? So now you have two wide receivers you're going to have to try to feed between him and Pickens, and frankly, they're both a little bit on the diva spectrum of things. I don't know if ownership like hates Mike Tomlin or what, but like my God, they give him the most just like crazy head cases that come into his teams. So good luck there.
Next to coach that team.
So that was probably the one spot I didn't really want him to go. A couple, not necessarily just the reason because Pickens is there, but they don't have a quarterback. They're even if Russ goes back there, even if Aaron Rodgers goes there, I'm not too happy about it.
None of that's exciting, right?
Yeah, nothing is exciting at all. And unfortunately, he's one of my highest rostered wide receivers. I have 12 shares of him, unfortunately. So, and I think not necessarily did I go out and like buy a bunch at a bad rate. So that's not really the thing. It's just like there was a lot of hope for him. And if I, I thought the Seahawks, I thought their offense was looking a little bit better. I thought maybe JSN would take that first spot, but then he'd be nice, behind JSN. So I don't know. I think if the Steelers were to move Pickens, then I think it would be okay. But still, we'll have that same worry of, we don't know who's going to be their quarterback. I don't know. I was looking at some mocks. One of them was crazy, but Jackson Dart was being mocked there. I don't see that happening. In the first for sure. I don't see that happening. And again, I wouldn't be too happy about it, right? I don't think I like Jackson Dart, but I don't think he's ready to be a starting quarterback right away. I think he should go in and learn behind somebody. So I just don't think that was a very good landing spot for him, unfortunately. I still have faith in DK himself. I do think he's a little bit of a diva, but I think if they can figure out the quarterback thing, and if they do get rid of Pickens, then I think there's some hope again. But yeah, unfortunately, not a good spot.
How far down did you move him? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, so well, somebody messed up my rankings.
Was it you?
Am I on your page?
Yeah, no, you're good. Don't worry.
So
yeah, so yeah, he sorted my tight ends here. So let me just think about this for a second. I think I would move, like, I think right now I had him as like wide receiver 20 something, but I think I feel like I've got to drop him down at least a tier or two and kind of go closer to like 28 to 32.
I put him and Pickens down at wide receiver 35 and 36.
Yeah.
And it's more just because I think they're gonna siphon each other, right? And it's like they might each have like their weeks. Maybe when the other one gets kicked out for fighting after a play,
right?
I don't know,
right?
Like, dude, I'm just so curious what this offense is gonna look like too. They need a running back. I kind of feel like they might draft a running back in the first round now.
Yeah, they might.
Because I know they have Jalen Warren on like restricted, like they have like a tender on him, like a second round tender, so he's not going anywhere. And then they just signed the back from Philadelphia, Kenneth Gainwell. So they need someone, right? Like, and I kind of see, like, I could see like an Omarion Hampton going to Pittsburgh to be the bell cow. That's gonna be a big physical offense, though. Like, if you have Hampton and then Pickens and DK Metcalf out wide, like that's some big boy football. So
yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I haven't moved my rankings, but I had him exactly where I thought. I had him like around 22, and so yeah, I move him at least 2 tiers down. Down kind of more closer to, like I said, 28 to 30. Mike Evans is 30, and I feel comfortable moving him below that.
Dude.
So.
Do you feel like you can sell them right now at a discount and just try to get out of it, or do you just go down with the ship?
So I think it would really depend on what I'm getting, of course. But I will explore it just because I would like to cut down on the amount I have of him. But I think at the end of the day, I probably am just going to go down with the ship, right? Because you're going to lose a lot of value on him right now if you're moving him. So I just have a hard time moving guys at their lowest point. I would rather just hold and move them at a later date.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just made a trade with Ron not that long ago where I sent
it was like 2 days
him
before
and
it happened.
he's been like an earlier 2 for J-Mo and a later 2.
Yeah.
So surprisingly,
at the time, but
surprisingly enough, he's been one of the highest traded guys on Dynasty Daddy. So I just pulled it up. Kind of all over the place. Kenneth Walker for DK was done today. I'm on the Kenneth Walker side there.
Yeah.
DK Metcalf for Josh Jacobs. I'll take Josh Jacobs. Yep. That's probably what their values are right now, but DK Metcalf and Najee Harris for 205 and 203. That sounds gross, but that's what I mean by like just losing out on value there.
The best thing is probably just hoping you can swap for another vet that you like, or maybe gain a few years, somebody a couple years younger than him.
Yeah. Here's one I do like here. DK for 111. I'll take 111.
Yeah, I can get a first for him, I'm out. He's
anything in the late first range. I'm pretty comfy with right now. Yeah. I had more DK than I thought I had, and that sucks.
Well, when I think it was last year, I think a lot of why I have a lot of him is just because I remember him being kind of on the cheaper side of when you're with startups, right? Going like around 5, 6, and then in your mind, the couple years before he was, top 15 wide receiver, maybe on like the back end of that 12 to 15 to 16 range, but like he was solid, and I think just the last 2 years maybe have not been quite as good. Obviously, he was unhappy in Seattle. And then gets a bad landing spot. Yeah. I'm assuming it was touchdowns for sure.
Yeah, because he went from 12, 12, 8, 8 to 5 this last year.
That'll do it.
That'll do it. I do
Were
think
all of them in that Cowboys game too this past year? Or was that 2 years ago where he scored all the touchdowns?
That was
2 years ago versus Cowboys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Man, I could kind of talk myself into buying him, like for like hearing some of those prices.
Come get some.
Come get some. Like, okay, so let's say you are sitting at like 206, right? Like
okay, I'm not doing 206.
Well, but I'm
gonna tell you I'm not doing 206.
Okay, that's fine.
If you're trying to buy mine, is what I'm saying.
But like, if there's people that are just like, well, crap, like I don't believe in Pittsburgh. It's a bad offense. I don't want it. Like I think he's going down. Like I would assume there's going to be people right now who are like, oh yeah, I'd sell him for 206. There's probably some people like you, Ron, that have that same reaction where you're like, oh hell no, I'm not selling him for anything less than 205.
You're gonna have to go a little bit higher.
Okay. I was kind of see where the line was. But no, like if that's one of those things too, where it's like you need to know like what the market is, but then also know the people in your league, right? Like how do they play? Because there are some people that kind of overreact to news where they're like, oh man, DK's dead. But like, at the end of the day, like DK Metcalf's the best wide receiver they've had there since what? Antonio Brown? Like I don't know, man. Like, and it wasn't that long ago too. Like Chase Claypool had like a 10 touchdown season in Pittsburgh, and Claypool sucks. So, like, I mean, Metcalf, I don't think he's dead yet. It's looking bleak, but those are the kind of opportunities where you might be able to say you can buy him for a mid-second. He starts off the year great. Maybe you could flip him for like a 26-1 at some point, and then it's like it's a small move, right? Where you can you gain like maybe like 6-7 picks. But it's a little bit of value, and then you can turn that into an even younger asset, and hopefully you hit big. But
I like that. I'm not going to go out and try to acquire any right now. Like I said, I don't like to move players like right on the news unless it's like a, someone I really believe in them and they have a really good situation. But for me, that with the question marks at QB, I'm gonna ride the wave.
Yeah, ride the wave, baby.
Okay, and some of the biggest trade news, the Browns trade for Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, that's gross.
They sent a 5th-round pick and DTR to Philly to get Kenny Pickett. What did Philly trade to get Kenny Pickett?
Ham sandwich?
A lot. I don't remember. Maybe a Capri Sun and a Lunchable.
More than a 5th.
Yeah.
It wasn't a lot there. I think I put in the notes the 5th is the best asset in that trade. But
yeah, totally.
I don't think Pickett's actually going to start. I think that's just kind of.
Do you think anything comes of this? I
kind of much ado about nothing. But there are some quarterbacks that signed that we probably want to get into rather than
do it.
Yeah, the Seahawks sign Sam Darnold. This is terrible.
Terrible.
I have a few Sam Darnold shares floating around there, and I think that stinks. Oh God, dirt and ayahuasca.
That's fantastic. That'll mellow out DK Metcalf and George Pickens. For sure.
Great.
Right. But back to Sam Darnold. So here's the thing with Darnold, right? Like I think that was clearly his best season he's had, right? This last year in Minnesota. Minnesota had probably a top 10, top 12 offensive line for most of the year. I know they struggled kind of in the playoffs against Detroit and the Rams, but I mean the Rams have one of the best defensive lines in the league.
Now
the
he gets
Seahawks,
twice.
Mind you. They had the 7th worst pass blocking on the line last year according to PFF. We already know he's not good under pressure, and I think the biggest piece that we're not talking and no one's really talked about is like he's going from Justin Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson, and Aaron Jones, who's a really good running back pass catcher, to JSN and Mike Bobo, Noah Fant, and then Kenneth Walker, who's a great running back, but he's not exactly known as a pass catcher. So we got a downgraded offensive line. We go from one of the best wide receivers in the NFL to, I mean, JSN's fine, but he's not Justin Jefferson. Like, I don't see this going well. Like, I just there's not.
I don't either.
They need so much help on the interior offensive line. I think their tackles are fine, but like they got to play the Rams twice a year. They got to play the 49ers. Still have Nick Bosa, who's in some good interior pass rushers. Like I just don't. They have Zach Charbonnet too.
It's deserved.
Don't worry, Wes. Fine. I was gonna get to him. Yeah, no, he's fine. I little homerism. He went to the high school that I worked for a little bit. When I was there, he was playing there, so it was cool. But yeah, I mean, I don't think this is not going to be the Sam Darnold that we saw. In my opinion, it's gonna be the one that we saw him against the Rams twice. He gets the Rams again now twice. He gets the 49ers twice. So yeah, he's going from a dome to outside with Arizona. A lot of rain. That's why I didn't bring him up. But yeah, I just don't think he doesn't like. I think the biggest drop off is one, the offensive line, and two, the weapons. Right, the weapons he was able to throw to were astronomically better than they were in they are in Seattle. So yeah, I don't know. I have no hope there. I do enjoy that JJ McCarthy will be QB1 to Minnesota now, so that's always good. But yeah, do not invest. Yeah, but don't invest in Sam Darnold, in my opinion.
What would you sell him for? I'm guessing you're not going to acquire him because we all just kind of crapped on him. But like, so like I have 2 shares, for example. What are you looking to move off of the shares? What's like the lowest you would go?
Man.
So if I would buy Geno Smith for, like a mid-second or early second, I probably would sell Sam Darnold for it because I found them to be kind of the same. There's probably more upside with Geno.
I get an early 2. He's gone.
Yeah, that's what I mean, right? So I have no problem taking it.
Frankly, if I get a mid 2, I probably sell him too. Unless I like. No, if I get a mid 2, he's gone. I don't even care. Like, we'll tank the team. Like because realistically, if you're relying on him as like your QB2, which some teams might be because he was really good in Minnesota last year, like your team it might be time to tear that bad boy down and retry. So,
yeah, indeed, yeah. So thankfully, I only have 3 shares. So I'm probably not going to move him at all. But yeah, if I could get a second, depending on my QB room, I would do it. Probably like 201 to 206 range. If I'm getting a late second, I'll probably just die on that hill.
How excited are you guys for JJ McCarthy in Minnesota?
Rock hard, baby.
Oh baby,
it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. He's my highest roster player, and I'm stoked.
Oh my god!
You guys are gonna hear it's gonna be insufferable if he ends up being good.
I'm okay with that. I don't have too much of him. I have 8 shares, so that's like it's only 15%.
So I took them all.
It's but yeah, I really hope he turns out to be good. For me, I think if you can, I need to see the doctor in 4 hours too.
About 4 hours ago.
I think he could be. I think he could be solid if Sam Darnold could do it. I think he could do it
for sure. I think he's better than Sam Darnold for what it's worth.
Yep.
Another quarterback I'm curious if you guys are excited for or not. Justin Fields goes to the Jets. He got decent money, right? Like 2 years, $40 million. 30 million of that's guaranteed, which it's not like crazy money. Some guys, like some of the top quarterbacks, are getting that for like per year. But I don't know, man. I think he's going to start. I think.
Yep.
I mean, Garrett Wilson's there, and like I was looking, Justin Fields. So say what you want about Justin Fields from a real life quarterback perspective. I think we can all agree he hasn't been great, but like from a fantasy perspective, he was QB9 the first 6 weeks last year. He's QB12 in points per game in 2023 and QB6 in 2022. He had DJ Moore was the fantasy wide receiver 6 in 2023 with Fields throwing on the ball. Like I don't think Garrett Wilson's dead. Garrett Wilson's a guy that I think a lot of people are like moving down because they're disappointed. Garrett Wilson's a great wide receiver. I think Fields can support him enough. I like Justin Fields, and like even if he's like a 1-year rental, Man, I would probably pay a late first, especially because the quarterback class this year sucks, right? Like I'm not particularly excited about any of them. If I need a quarterback, Justin Fields is going to give you a lot of points. It might only be for 1 year, but he might help you win. So I don't know.
Yeah. So
what do you guys think about Fields?
Yep, I agree. He's going to be a good, upside play in the fantasy realm. I'm not going out and buying, but I know if I were to want to go out and buy, I'm going to have to give a late first probably at the cheapest, I would say. Maybe you could get him for a early second. But looking things up, like, he's being traded for a first. Gino and Isaiah Pacheco. So there's people that love Justin Fields. So I'm more looking to try to sell for a first than I am more to acquire.
I did trade him the other day. I sent Justin Fields and Jordan Addison for Dak Prescott in a week, which I felt pretty good about. I like Dak, but he has some value that's a little bit. No one ever puts any respect on Dak Prescott for whatever.
No respect on Dak's name.
Yeah, but he's locked up and with money, and so I think he should be fine. I like that too. But I think the Garrett Wilson, we're going to probably see Garrett Wilson. You have here DJ Moore was wide receiver 6 in 2023, and then Pickens was wide receiver 36 with 6 weeks with Fields. I think we're going to see more of like the DJ Moore out of Garrett Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson is a much better wide receiver than Pickens.
I think that's more indicative of George Pickens not 100%. Being great than is anything.
So I think it's going to be an upgrade for Garrett Wilson. And I think there's a lot of like stench on him because he was it's stuck with Aaron Rodgers, and the year before he was stuck with bunch of different quarterbacks. Zach Wilson and others. So just like I think it's been 2 years now that he hasn't been, as good as he should be. So I think we're gonna see more of like top 12 Garrett Wilson.
Yeah,
I agree.
Quick one here. The Colts signed Daniel Jones. Have to think this means he's expecting an opportunity to start or at least compete for that.
I think it's like a true competition, right?
Yep.
And I think that means Anthony Richardson might be on a little bit more of a short leash.
The battle of mid.
That's putting.
It's not even a mid battle.
Yeah.
Okay.
I expect to see both quarterbacks play at some point this year.
Totally.
Yeah, for sure.
Rattle off these running backs for us.
Yeah. I'm gonna give you guys the group, and then we'll kind of pick and choose some of the guys here. The Vikings re-signed running back Aaron Jones, love it. Cowboys signed Javonte Williams. Chargers signed Najee Harris. Steelers signed Kenneth Gainwell. Panthers signed Rico Dowdle. Really good news for Aaron Jones. Anybody holding Aaron Jones, he's now worth more than that 212 into your lineup. That's for sure. Just staying in the same spot, status quo for him. I could care less about Javonte Williams for the Cowboys.
I was excited when I saw the Javonte signing. I was less excited when I saw it was like $3 million. That's not a lot of money. That's like something you pay for a camp body. That's almost nothing. Javonte Williams might be on the way out. We'll see. I would assume this means Dallas is probably going to draft a running back fairly early, probably day 2. And that's going to be a bit of a timeshare there. The Rico Dowdle one's interesting. I think he's a pretty good running back. So I think him and Chuba in Carolina, that's the one that kind of caught my eye a little bit. I have a lot of Chuba Hubbard. I think there's more that Rico is going to be kind of like a third down, kind of the 1B back, which I think hurts Chuba's upside a little bit. I don't think it like buries him, but I think it hurts him his upside because he caught a lot of passes last year. I think it's going to cut into a lot of that, but I think Chuba's still the 1A there. But that was kind of my takeaway. Holler, what stood out to you?
Yep. Here? Agreed. And I really like the signing of Najee Harris with the Chargers. I think the Chargers are in a great spot everywhere around.
Better Gus Edwards.
Yeah, they need some help on wide receiver range, but I think Najee there is going to be really good. He's connected to a solid offensive line connected to playing with Justin Herbert, which is always great. So we'll see. Najee has his own issues, but I think he landed in a good situation.
The thing with Najee is that he hasn't missed a game in 4 years.
Yeah.
Right? He's shown up, and he's not overly effective with his carries, but damn it, does he show up and he's there?
Yes, he does.
So,
yeah.
Yep.
Attendance award, baby.
Yeah,
that's right.
Okay.
But yeah, so, I mean, I think with him though is like the flame could burn out a little bit depending on if they draft somebody or if they bring back Dobbins. So I think he's not going to be like, you're not going to feel good about him if he's your running back 2. But I do think there's some upside there with him landing on the Chargers. So that's kind of was my pick there.
Yeah, definitely. So for wide receivers, we got the Chiefs resign Hollywood Brown. Rams signed Devontae Adams. Bucks resigned Chris Godwin. Thank goodness. Bills signed Josh Palmer. Giants re-signed Darius Slayton to the same contract that Saquon got. Patriots signed wide receiver Mac Hollins. Seahawks signed MVS. Ravens signed D-Hop. 49ers signed DeMarcus Robinson. And Big Mike is back to the Chargers.
That'll be super exciting for about 3 games, won't it?
Yeah, until he gets injured.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, so
come on, Big Mike.
Outside of Devontae Adams going to the Rams, although I need to reach out to him because he owes me some money since Puka changed his jersey number. His on my signature from Puka, it says, he signed his name with 17, so that value just dropped. So I'm going to reach out to Devontae Adams here. But I think out of the wide receivers,
you're never selling that.
Yeah,
you turn that 7 to a 2. It's just like the little.
Yeah, totally. But no, yeah, I think the best one here is definitely Chris Godwin back. Super good for Baker. Yep. I really like Jalen McMillan. But we kind of talked about it in the Discord a little bit. He was going in like the 8th and 6th through 8th rounds in some of the startups this offseason. I think a lot of those people thought Godwin was on his way out. But for me, I like Jalen McMillan, and a part of it was because of where he was going in rookie drafts. I got him in like the 3rd round, or I didn't get him at all, right? So, and he was good, but a lot of that came from touchdowns. And I think this for the Rams is really, really good. Devontae Adams playing with one of the better, quarterbacks he's played with, outside of, I think some people could say Stafford is better than, Rodgers I think that it's up for debate in both their primes. So yeah, I think this is the best quarterback that Devontae Adams has played with in a long time.
I think it's hard because I think prime Matthew Stafford was stuck in Ron Eunice, better than anyone, was stuck in Detroit on some really bad football teams.
Yeah, he did a lot of special things, and he should be talked about a lot more highly than he is.
Stafford's awesome, man. Stafford does some really cool stuff. I'm actually really excited for Devontae Adams. I think he's in for a really nice year. That said, I think Adams and Godwin are the 2 that stand out here. What's the going rate on those 2 guys right now?
I don't know. I tried to sneak some Chris Godwin for some Javonte and some Najee, hoping the new signings, and nobody was biting at that. So it's probably got
Javonte, I think for sure. The Najee one.
Yeah. I thought I could get, some sort of just interest of, I can see what you're doing here, kind of thing, but nobody was even nibbling.
Yeah. So, for Godwin, I think he's, around like a mid-second. I think they're both around there, mid-seconds. Devontae Adams yesterday was traded for 208, 205. Not both of those. These are 2 different trades. One was 208, one was 205 for Devontae Adams. Jameson Williams for Devontae Adams and 203. So I think that's probably where his early to mid-second for Devontae Adams, and I think Godwin is around the same, in my opinion. They're guys that I would love to have on my team as flex guys that I know. Godwin more so than Devontae Adams. I know what I'm going to get. But yeah,
Godwin, I feel like I'm a little bit higher on than that. I feel like he's closer to like a back end first than he is like a second for me. I know he's 29, but he's so good, and like him and Baker have a really good connection. And like the injury, I think
he was going to be a wide receiver 1.
I think people have a worse injury in mind when they think of Chris Godwin. Like it was like a broken foot, like which isn't great, obviously, but it's not like he's recovering from like a terrible like ACL.
Right.
And he's only 29 too. Like I think he still has at least like 2 to 3 years of like playing like good like high level football. Davante Adams, I think he's probably like 1 more year, maybe 2. And so that's where I can kind of see he's probably more like in the middle 2 range, but I think Godwin's closer to a late first. And I think that's probably what people are going to want to sell for. I don't think they want to sell for anything short of that.
You are right.
And I don't hate it too, because like the wide receiver class isn't overly great this year either. Like we were talking about this earlier, but like I have like Matthew Golden kind of like earlier, like kind of like mid first. And then after that, it gets a little dicey. Like I know like I like Ibuka. Luther Burden, I think, is kind of a question mark, like how he's going to fit into an NFL team. I don't hate Godwin for that. Like,
we know. So we talked about Darnold a little bit. There's 3 trades on here with Chris Godwin for Sam Darnold. I would do that in a heartbeat.
Give me Godwin all day.
I don't know if somebody would actually do that in our leagues per se, but I would love
worth a try.
That. Chris Godwin for Joe Mixon, Chris Godwin and 211 for 109. So. Yeah, I think I would do that too. That especially since I'm getting a pick back. So yeah, I was wrong. I think Godwin. I agree. Godwin is a little bit higher than Davante Adams.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, so for tight ends, the Bengals re-signed Mike Gesicki. The Panthers re-signed Tommy Tremble. Commanders re-signed Zach Ertz. Patriots re-signed Austin Hooper and Evan Ingram. We talked about earlier. He is the lone tight end to leave, and he goes to Denver. Saints re-signed Juwan Johnson too.
Yeah, Juwan Johnson is probably fine. I think he was having a fine enough year with their car. I don't know. That whole offense is not super exciting. I would say though, the Mike Gesicki one was funny because it was like the Bengals need, they have like T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Cherry Hendrickson, and then they're like, "Hey, Mike Gesicki, here's some money.
We got to get this done, guys."
Right? Like, I think he even said something like in his press conference too. He was like, "Me," but no, Gesicki was good in that offense. He had some up and downs, but he was good. Any tight end that's attached to Joe Burrow, like I'm all in on that one. The rest of the tight ends all kind of suck. Well, that's not true. Zach Ertz was good last year.
Yeah, Ertz was good.
He was like Jaden Daniels' safety blanket. So I like that one, especially in like a tight end premium. He doesn't get a ton of yak. He gets, in fact, he gets like nothing.
Yeah, it's just catch and
it's
fall
pure
down
volume,
at this
baby.
point.
Yeah, he's like the late stage career Jason Witten.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing like super crazy. The tight end market's kind of gross after you get out of the top handful of guys, really.
Yeah.
Yep. I was a little bit bummed with Zach Ertz going back to the Commanders because I liked Ben Sinnott, but it's okay. He's on the Trey McBride.
The Trey McBride tracks.
Yep. So we're all right. We'll see. Yeah,
and Britton Strange track.
Wes is right. Ertz is practically free. He was free last year, and tight end premium.
Nobody listened. Everybody laughed.
I put him in multiple times. So,
dude, he's fantastic.
Only because I liked Ben Sinnott, but I like the re-signing of Zach Ertz. And then outside of Ingram, I agree. There was not much. I think it was good for Gesicki to go back to the Bengals for sure.
Do you guys know Zach Ertz was the tight end 8 last year in points and total fantasy points?
Now I did.
Irrelevant because of his age. That's what I remember.
He's not irrelevant.
I don't think he is.
And like the guys around him, like Laporta, Andrews, Kelsey, Jonnu Smith, Kittle, you got to pay so much more.
Yeah.
And he basically scored about the same as some of those guys did, like probably like 2 points less a game, maybe like 1.5, 2. So
that's amazing.
And you can probably get Zach Ertz for, I don't know, like
free.
A third?
Yeah, practically free.
Wes just picked him up off the waivers in the league. So pay attention.
There you go. Pay attention. Go look and the little homework. Go see if Zach Ertz is on your waivers and go pick him.
There's been 22 trades with Zach Ertz. Today, Zach Ertz for Trey Tucker. Zach Ertz for 401.
Zach
Ertz for 302.
Okay.
Zach Ertz for Jalen Coker.
Oh, that's interesting.
Some
People
people
love
would think,
Cokeheads are out there, man.
Cokeheads, yeah.
Zach Ertz for 2027 around 3.
Yeah.
Zach Ertz for Tyler Algier. So there you go.
Here's the thing: Ertz is actually going to do something. Algier is only going to be useful to you if Bijan gets hurt.
Sure.
So,
yep.
Fair.
You know who's comped to Tyler Algier?
Zach Charbonnet?
No, Caleb Johnson.
Oh yeah.
Take that with you as you will.
Yeah, Johnson ain't hot shit like people like to think he is, but we'll see.
Yeah. The Bears acquired a trio of inside offensive linemen. They traded for Joe Tooney, traded for Jonah Jackson, and they signed Drew Dahlman, 2 guards and a center. I can tell you Jonah Jackson struggles to stay on the field.
Pretty good.
Yeah, he missed quite a few games last year with the Rams. I thought that was like, ooh, nice. Jonah Jackson, that's going to be good. And it wasn't good.
His one healthy year was the year before he left Detroit, and I was just praying that we didn't pay him because I had witnessed the earlier part of his career. He's really good when he plays and he's on the field. He's awesome, but he's never on the
field. Even still, like Tooney and Dahlman themselves is a massive upgrade over what the crap Chicago was rolling out there last year. Like, I think without offensive line kind of in place, at least on paper, if Caleb Williams can't pull his head out this year, like I don't think the dude can play ball, right? Like this is, I feel like this is the year for him, right? He has relatively competent coaching. We think he should have at least a good offensive line, like on paper. He has weapons with DJ Moore, and whatever you think about Rome Odunze, he's at least the top 10 pick. This is the year for Caleb, and if he doesn't do it, like I'm out, man. But we'll see. It's looking good for him. Or at least
we're still on Aaron Rodgers' watch. Unfortunately, that's probably going to drag on all summer long.
He loves that though.
Yep,
he loves it.
That's why it's going to drag on because he's a prick. You guys have anything else for the people?
I mean, calling Rodgers a prick is probably a good way to end it, I think.
I was going to say the rumors for Russ to Cleveland is just hilarious. I think it's down to Cleveland and
Giants,
New York. Yeah. So,
I think he's waiting for Rodgers. So
he is. Well, he knows he's the number 2 choice for both of those teams.
Option B.
I can't feel good, right?
Right. Now I got to show up.
If I were him, I'd be like, screw you. I'm going to go to Cleveland then.
Yeah.
Unlimited.
He's limited as well.
Man.
So we're getting closer to the draft. Free agency is kind of winding down. Some of the puzzles coming together, so it should be fun.
Definitely. All right, you guys got anything else for the people before we get out of here?
I think that's it. Go check your waivers for Zach Ertz. Is the takeaway.
Yeah, definitely.
Peace out.
All right.
Peace.